So I'll introduce Paul Guardia. He is our third presenter today. Paul is a graduate of NSCAD University. So I do want to speak a little bit about NSCAD because I think you'll see that a number of our career mentors today are graduates of NSCAD. It's the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. It is an internationally well-known and respected university for arts graduates, and we're so happy to have Paul here as a recent graduate and currently running his own business, Paul Guardia Design, where Paul designs and develops websites and mobile apps. So I think the students are going to find your story really interesting, Paul. Thank you for being here today. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Can you just talk a little bit about what you do, but also your experience at NSCAD?
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking a bit about kind of my background and stuff like that. Do you mind if I kind of give you like a rundown
Absolutely.
of kind of where I came from? Because it's definitely been like a roller coaster from my experience like back in high school to right now. Some of my experiences in university. I feel like I really made the most of my time in university. Some of the things I did, like I did an international pitch. It was in Vancouver with a team of my NSCAD colleagues. I came in first place in another pitch competition for like a sustainable seaweed product. And I also had a chance to go to Tokyo, Japan and actually exhibit my design work. So I made the most, I feel like, of my university experience, but it was like my high school experience was far from being like an A+ student or anything like that. So
Yeah,
it's
why don't you touch on that? Talk about the difference and how your love for your education changed.
for sure. I mean, in high school, I felt like it was really hard to kind of like care about anything. I didn't feel very inspired or motivated, and it really affected my overall like grades and experience. But my love was definitely art, painting and drawing. And I had a couple of friends like even like hire me to do like designs for like t-shirts and stuff like that. But I never really thought like art would be very practical, like I'm like, okay, I need to go to university, maybe do something in STEMs. So after high school, I just took a year off. I'm like, I got to think about this. Like, what do I want to do? And after taking a year off, I'm like, I'm going to go to St. Mary's. And when I go to St. Mary's, I like just study general sciences. And I realized as much as I like sciences, it's not something that I see myself doing for a full-time career. And so at this point, I kind of felt a bit lost. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And so I was working this retail job at this time, and a really good friend of mine, Caitlin, she's like, Paul, like, you've always loved art. You like doing art. Like, why don't you go to NSCAD? Why don't you just do it? Like, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. I think that I'll be surrounded by people that are like-minded. I'll get to hone my artistic ability. So I'm like, I'm going to just go for it. I'm going to go to NSCAD. And so this is kind of where it all started. I went to NSCAD thinking I was going to do fine art. I didn't know much more than that. I'm like, I'm going to go to school. I'll figure it out there, right? Not much of a plan. And
Paul, I'm just going to interrupt for a second. When you say fine art, can you explain to the students what is the difference? I guess if you're comfortable speaking about the different programs or art avenues through NSCAD.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's three programs that you can go in. So the one that I went to was the design program. So it's called the Interdisciplinary Design Program. Fine art is basically like painting, drawing, sculpture, jewelry, like all of the ceramics, all of those kinds of things. So it's more kind of like almost like self-expression. So there's a lot of that. And so fine art is one program, and then there is also art history. So you can also do art history as well. So those are the three core programs that NSCAD has. But I wanted to go into the fine art program originally because I love painting and drawing. So that was what I wanted to do. And so what's really cool about NSCAD is they do a foundation year. And so this foundation year, they let you just try a bunch of different things. So, if I'm going in knowing that I want to do design, I'm still going to take fine art classes anyways. I'm going to do the drawing and the painting. I might take design classes and whatnot. So, it gives you a bit of flexibility to try things that you might not. And so when I was going through foundation year, I thought I was going to do fine art, and I just happened to take a design class. And the teacher was so good and very inspiring and very encouraging. And on top of that, I really liked design because it was a marriage to me between art and science. So that really put me in this direction where I'm like, I love this so much. I need to do this. I need to get a degree in design. And so that really like changed my direction in life. I'm like, oh my God, I actually feel like I have a bit more of like a course now. So my attitude changed a lot. I went from not caring at all to being completely motivated. Um, yeah. And so like, I'm thinking now, I basically like when I was in university, it was like I treated it like it was kind of like a full-time job almost in a
Hmm.
sense, and I treated my instructors like they were my clients because I was just getting really serious about it. You know, this is like the difficult, like this is like the kind of the harsh reality of being in a creative field is that, and I would recommend doing this like when you're in school, like think about, you're not just going there for school, like treat it almost as a job, right? Because it's going to give you that advantage after, right? Like I've seen a lot of people that didn't do that, and it's much harder. Like you leave with your feet like on the ground, like you're able to do a lot more if you really do take it seriously and you do really treat your like instructors as like, let's say, a client or something like that. So I
Hmm.
found that really helped. And on top of that, like when you do that, the teachers will help you a lot more. They'll give you a lot more opportunities because they see how much you care. And that was one of the reasons why I feel like I went to Japan, is because I made friends with one of my teachers and he offered me that opportunity. And so, I would highly recommend doing that, as take it really seriously, and you'll get many opportunities that way, right? It
That's
opens up
great.
a lot of doors.
No, great advice. That's wonderful. And I'm going to ask you more about Japan because I personally love Japan. I've been there 10 times through work
Ooh.
previously. But I want to, because one of the things we do talk about is outside of formal education training, what opportunities did you take advantage of that helped lead to your success today? So can you give an example for that opportunity that you took in Japan and what that was about and how that worked out for you?
Yeah, so I had done, so this is at the like pretty much like the midpoint of my degree, or no, it was my third year. And so at the beginning of my third year, this is like it was kind of just talked around the school and the design department, like this is like the hardest class that I was going to take. It's one of these studio classes, so it's quite a big, it's like it's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort. And so this one was like specifically really tough. And so I just thought to myself, like, okay, I need to really like go hard on this one. I need to really apply myself and do the best like that I can, create some awesome work, try to, I mean, the grades matter and they don't matter. I think they're a reflection of, kind of how hard you work and, your thought process and whatnot. But I just wanted to really do well in this course. So I went all out, and I think the teacher really saw that and really appreciated that. And so he chose me and two other students to actually exhibit these projects in Tokyo, Japan. And it was like the project that I did. It's like it was kind of interesting. It was a conceptual product. The whole concept is taking like something from out of an insect specifically. So you have to actually read a scientific paper, figure out like a biological aspect of an insect, and then create a product out of it. So I took the mealworm because the
Mm.
digestive. I think I'm trying to remember now because it was so long ago. But there's basically a compound in the mealworm that you can take out that actually degrades polystyrene. So I created a whole system where there is basically something called the ocean cleanup that's out in the Great Pacific garbage patch. Like it's basically taking all of these plastics out of the Pacific Ocean. And
Mhm.
so I thought, okay, well, they're taking all of these plastics out. We can then apply this compound and get rid of at least the polystyrene, so like the styrofoam out of it. So that was like the whole concept behind that. And so there's this whole process that you go through in order to kind of like create this thing. And then you get to kind of decide what your approach is. So this is a really nice thing about NASCAD is, yeah, you're kind of given constraints in what you do in a lot of these projects, but you're given total freedom on how you want to approach it. So somebody might have created an app for what like I did.
Hmm.
I went down a different route. I actually created like a booklet and branding for this like hypothetical company that I made that does this like degrading of polystyrene. So it's cool that like you can kind of almost choose your own projects
Hmm.
in a sense. So NASCAD gives you a lot of freedom with what you want to do. Sometimes you have to work in constraints, and sometimes you don't. Does that? I hope that answers your question. I didn't mean to get
No,
off on a tangent.
that's amazing, actually, and I love your link between science and art there, and how cool that is, and also with the environment. So that I think the students probably really resonates with them. Um, and then, how did you get to running your own business?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I it was again, it was another like kind of happy accident. You know, like the first being just finding out in first year that I love design, and then in that third year, I had a friend of mine, and she was like, "Hey, there's this pitch competition happening. Like Dal's doing this thing," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like, I'm just down to. I'm just open for experiences. Like, I just like to try and do different things, and I would say that I would highly recommend everybody do that. Like, don't turn something down. Like, this was so outside of what I normally do, and so we did this pitch competition, and we went in with no idea. We were just meeting people and talking, and we actually ended up meeting two other people, and we formed a team, and we knew we wanted to do something sustainable. So we went through this whole like design thinking process, and we came up with this sustainable seaweed paper. Like we did some research on it, and so within like a couple of days, like over a weekend, we went from not knowing what we wanted to do to having like a full presentation, and then we pitched it, and then we ended up actually winning first place at this thing, which was awesome. And I
Amazing.
went like crazy. Like I was like thinking like it was like discovering fire. Like it was so much fun like to just do that, go through that whole process. And I really realized at that moment like, oh, I love like kind of this entrepreneurial, like, you know, there's the pitching, there's like thinking about your business, like how's it going to run, like what is the like business model, all of these different things. I'm like, it's such a marriage of yeah, like design with business too. Like I kind of see a connection between those two.
Hmm.
So that's what really like sparked my interest in entrepreneurship, because I realized at that point like I didn't have to work for necessarily somebody else. Like I could work for myself in a sense. So that was kind of what got me interested in the first place.
Oh, very cool. And so now you're designing websites and designing apps.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about what your typical work week or work day looks like?
Yeah. And that's funny because it is so it's kind of like running a business is a little chaotic, especially when you're just like starting one up. So
Imagine.
my typical days like vary wildly. Some days I'm planning, strategizing, might be writing like proposals for something like that. Other days, like I mean, right now the biggest thing is like marketing and sales for me, like getting work, because I'm just starting off, right? So a lot of it is drumming up business, and
Hmm.
so and I think that this is one thing that I wanted to mention, and you know, there's a difference between owning a business and being a freelancer, because a freelancer is somebody that like I might just want to make websites and I'll just make a website for somebody. But I'm more so like I'm finding like marketing sales, like I'm trying to find people, and then what I do is then try to find other people. Like so we're actually working with one of my colleagues right now on an accessibility app, and so I'm hiring her to work on this project with me. So I'm doing kind of more so the side, like the Excel spreadsheet side, in a sense.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm managing people, like figuring out like what, like, you know, what the profit margin would be and like stuff like that. And like, so it's it's a bit different. Like I think that, you know, I would say think about that too. Like what do you want to do? Do you want to like just freelance, or do you actually want to own a business, like a creative business?
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, anyways, so I'm going off on a tangent, but yeah, marketing, sales. I spend a lot of time interacting with like clients, potential clients, and I do like to have fun and actually work on some of these projects too.
Hmm.
So I will put my hands in there as well. And yeah, I would say that's like my schedule. It's not very consistent all the time, but there's definitely a lot of planning. That I have my ideal days, but they don't always go that way. So I always plan for that as well.
No, that's great. Thank you. And we all think, I think we all understand that there's a risk to running your own business and taking
Mm.
that risk. What inspired you to actually just do it?
I felt honestly, I'm like, there's no other path for me. Like I just felt that, and well, you know what? That's an awesome question. So the reason why really is so I graduate NASCAD and then I'm like, okay, I got to play it safe. I'm going to just do a couple of internships. I'm going to get my get my hands dirty, start to like just meet people and network and stuff like that. And so I did that and I just realized I felt like I was putting so much effort and time into like, benefiting somebody else.
Hmm.
And I felt like I could just honestly, like the stuff that I'm doing, like I was doing marketing for one company and I was just thinking I could just do that for myself and I could build my own brand. Like, why am I just working for somebody else? I mean, it kind of like sucks because, you're not going to like, you have to, there is like definitely an inherent risk
Hmm.
involved in that. So there's a security for working for somebody else. But I just thought, you know what, I'm in a position right now. I have enough money saved up. Like I can do, like, I feel like I can definitely do this. Like I know enough people. I've networked enough that I feel like I can definitely get consistent work coming in. And, I have money saved up. So I'm like, I'm just going to dive in the deep end. Like, I'm not going to wait any longer. Like, I feel like I got to do this now. It's like now or never,
Hmm.
like if I want to do this and I'm thinking so much about it, it's like, just act now. Like, I'm not going to question myself or worry, oh, what if this is going to work out or not? I'm just like, I'm going to make mistakes. Things aren't always going to run well, but that's totally fine because those are all learning things. And I can read as much as I want about running a business, but that doesn't beat actually practicing and doing it. So I'm like, I have to do this right away.
That's incredible. Congratulations. Good for you.
Thank you.
Can you talk about the demand for people in web design or app design in Nova Scotia?
Yeah. So that's actually like one of like the most like stellar parts about this because, and especially now more than ever because of COVID, everything is going online, right?
Hmm.
Businesses like brick and mortar businesses that like didn't even have a website, like need a website now because I mean, again, like people aren't going to these stores anymore. I mean, just in general, everything is going digital. Like how many apps are being created every day? Like, oh my God, so many. Every business needs like a web presence. They all need that digital aspect to their business. So there's a huge demand for it. To be specific, these are some things maybe the students can look into later. I mean, I say web and app because it's kind of like it's easier to digest, but what what I'm really talking about is user experience and user interface design. So also known as UX and UI design. So I would recommend looking into that a bit for whoever's listening if you're interested in this kind of stuff because they are different and they're two aspects that really matter quite a bit for like creating an app or creating a website. So I don't want to go off on a tangent and break those up. I'll say this that user interface is the look of a website or an app, and then user experience is how the person interacts with an app or a website. And so like for example, the accessibility app, the user experience is very focused on people with mobility and vision issues.
Hmm.
So we are doing a lot of interviewing and talking to a lot of people about their experiences with the app. And so we're actually doing a lot of user testing with it. So anyways, that's just to explain a little bit about the difference between those two things. But if you get into UI or UX design, like you're like starting off, you're making like 70,000 a year and it will go up to like 100,000 for more experience. So it's a really lucrative field to get into. I would really recommend it. I would say if you want to go like my path is a bit weird. NASCAD might not necessarily be the best place to get the best UX UI education. There are
Hmm.
tons of schools in Ontario that do that very specifically. So I mean, I could list them off. Like University of Toronto does it, York and Sheridan do a combined program, George Brown College, Concordia, to name a few. You can Google it, UX UI Canada programs. Um, but NASCAD does like interdisciplinary design, but it still gives you that, like, again, it was that thing that I was saying before about it gives you freedom to choose your kind of your path and your projects and what you want to do. So I focus a lot on web design and app design. So that's why I mean, I had a different experience than some students that might have did book design or product design. But yeah, so you can make it work at NASCAD, but it takes a more um, like
So
direction
self-guided. Hmm.
and sorry, what was that?
So like self-guided direction.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. Does that answer your question?
That's amazing. And such great advice. Thank you, Paul. That is awesome. You're like a recruiter advisor for students. So really super valuable. I'm going to give an opportunity for the students and the teachers to ask some questions, and that does take a minute for the students to pass those on to their teachers and then for them to put them in the chat. So we'll be patient. And you have given so much advice again. Is there anything that you're looking forward to in your future? What's your next step? I'm sure there's lots you're looking forward to, but what's your next step?
Yeah, that is also a really great question. So I'm reading, it's funny, I'm reading a book right now, and it's basically a book talking about finding your why and why you're doing what you're doing. And because, part of a business, people don't necessarily care, like what you do or how you do, but why you're doing it, right? And so I'm really reflecting on that right now. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what's my why? And in part, like, I want to do good. Like, I want to stay in Halifax. I really want to help the Halifax economy. And so I also want to help designers out. Like, I'm really passionate about design, and I'm actually good friends with the chair of design at NASCAD. And, one of the things I always talk about with him is, I really want to up the design at, in Halifax, right? And I think and put us almost like on an international level. So that's one thing that I would love to do, is elevate design in Halifax and inspire people. And like in any way that in any form that I can like if I can have an impact on somebody in a positive way with design, I think that's one of my plans, is to try to elevate that level of design in Halifax. I mean, business wise, really, just grow my business. Like, have more people working with me on projects that matter, that make a difference. So, it's not just about making money. It's about doing, like, the accessibility app really means something to me, because I know that it's helping people. And that's what really matters to me in the end. Like, it's not about just making a quick buck or just making a website for the heck of it or an app. It's something that really matters. So yeah.
That's amazing. I love all of this. I love all of this. And I can guarantee that you are inspiring some people today for sure. We do have one question that says, and maybe you know a lot about this and maybe you don't, but is there an animation course or program at NASCAD?
There is. Yeah, you can definitely do animation at NASCAD. I would look into it. If you go on their academic calendar, I think they would give you a better idea. I know there is animation at NASCAD. I don't know if it is, because I know there's also, that was one, that was one program that I forgot about, was the film, because they're kind of off. They have their own like building. They're off like on their own. So anyways, so within the film building, they also do, it's like kind of like, trying to think of the name of it, but it's basically like moving picture, like media kind of stuff. So within that, there's definitely animation there for sure. So yeah, I would check it out though. I would definitely go on their website,
the NASCAD
website, exactly, or just look up the academic calendar and you can see what courses they offer with animation. I think you can do a minor in it. I don't know if you can do a major, but anyways, I would check it out.
That's awesome. Thank you. And we'll just take a second to see if there's any more questions that come through. But Paul, it has been an absolute delight to meet you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a blast.
Awesome. Is there anything that we didn't touch on? We touched on a lot, but anything that we missed that you think it's important to share today?
You know what? I actually wrote. I have some notes here. Can I just bang off three things that I just wanted to say, like takeaways?
Please do.
Maybe.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I would say put yourself out there, try different things. You might even like them. So, if I didn't take that course back, that design course at NASCAD, I would not be here. I don't know what I would be doing. Like, I'm almost afraid to think like where I would be, right? Because it just really changed my life. I would say the other thing, people are so important. So if you want to be an entrepreneur or a creative, like definitely network. It will open up so many doors and opportunities. Practice with your teachers, your instructors, ask them questions, be engaged and interested. If they're good, they will open those doors for you. They will try to help you in any way. So, like if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have gone to Japan. So, that opened a door for me.
Mm-hmm.
And like the third and final thing is like, do what makes you excited and gives you energy. Because that was one thing that I ignored in high school. I love doing art and painting and drawing. And I just thought, oh, it's not practical. Like, I'm just not going to bother or whatever. But, at the end of the day, what do you want to do? Like, you're going to be like everybody, we all work a lot, right? Like, you have to, the average is 40 hours a week. You might as well try to find something that you enjoy to do within those 40 hours, right? So I would say, yeah, find something that gives you energy, makes you want to wake up in the morning. And I feel like I've definitely found that. So yeah, those are kind of three things that I feel like I got just reflecting on my experiences.
Those are fantastic takeaways. Thank you so much. Thank you again, and all the best in the new year. Good luck with your business.
Thank you. No, I
Okay.
appreciate that.
And stay well.
Yeah, take care.
Take care.